Vatsala?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Vatsala?
Can I start the session?
Yeah, you can share the brochure and Sandeep brochure also, poster also. I think Sandeep has joined, I think, the session, right?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Hi, Sandeep. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dear all, hi everyone. Welcome to the FDP session, post lunch. We are now with Sandeep in Leela Palace. That kind of background, Sandeep. I think you muted yourself, Sandeep.
Yeah, I,
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I,
that's
I
fine.
was on
That's fine.
mute. Didn't
Yeah,
want
yeah,
it.
that's fine. So we'll wait for 2 more minutes and start the session. Is that okay, Sandeep? Yeah, okay, fine. Got it.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can you start the session, ma'am?
Yeah, yes, Vatsala. We'll start the session.
Good afternoon, one and all present here. Welcome to the afternoon session on 19th January. So, Sandeep sir, as already I've introduced him yesterday's session. I hope all the faculty who joined in the first session have joined and they know Sandeep very well. So today he's going to handle the topic infrastructure as code. So let us. It's a new, relatively new topic for all of us. So we are very much eager to looking forward to this session. Over to you, Sandeep.
All right. Thank you so much, Yotsala ma'am. Can you guys hear me well? Can one of you please confirm?
We can hear you clearly.
Okay. Let me also share my screen. Okay. So please let me know if it is visible. Should be there in like a few seconds. Able to see? Hello. Can one of you please confirm?
Yes, sir. It is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Asha. Thank you, Vijay Kumari. Appreciate it. All right. So, first of all, good afternoon. I hope you all had a good lunch. Yes, no. I think the afternoon sessions are always challenging, isn't it? I mean, after lunch, it's so difficult to focus on for everybody. So, can I get a yes, no, something from the audience? Okay. Thank you, Vijay Kumari. Okay. That's good. Thank you, Sumati, Lata. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so just wanted to make sure we are interactive. All right, so let's go. So today's topic. Let me quickly see. I'm getting some incoming messages. Okay, thank you, Vasanta. All right, cool. So today's topic is infrastructure as code. And then it's a very interesting topic, and it's pretty new, as Srivatsala just mentioned, right? So first of all, hearty welcome to all of you. I'm really very happy for this opportunity that my college has given to me, so that I can share whatever I have learned and understood with technical stuff with people across, especially teachers and professors across India. It feels very nice, and extremely honored to be here, and talking to you all. um, all right. So as we always do, whenever you have a question, please put it on the chat, or feel free to just go unmute yourself and then put the question to me. I feel very happy when I see questions. So please try to post whatever questions you have. I will try to answer with the best of my knowledge. I was just taking a look at the people who have attended already. I think looks like today very less people, 43 only. Yesterday it was close to 70. I remember Anita. Hello, Anita. I remember we interacted with some questions yesterday. Arpana, hello. Deepa, hi. Let's see. Manjaya, hello. Sumati, yes, hello. Hi, Jayapriya. Thanks for your email. Um, yes, Kavya. I see a lot of known faces already. Not that we have spent a lot of time, but still good to see so many names. I'm not writing out everybody's name, but oh yeah, Viru is also there. Okay, cool. I guess let's get going. Let's see what else we have in store. This is about me. I'm probably gonna leave it here for a few seconds. I guess most of you had already taken a look at this, so I'm not gonna go over it again. But I want to apologize for one thing to start with, because my throat is very bad today. It's extremely bad, actually. I did not wanted to cancel this session, so I'm just trying to pull through this, and then make sure whatever I want to uh, whatever thoughts I have in terms of exchanging, that goes across, and it helps everyone. So that's why I'm just doing this. So extremely sorry if you hear me cough like this. um, Sorry again. Okay, please bear with me for the next 2 hours. All right. And yes, you can find me here. You can hit me up. I know, like, there were few participants yesterday who had already sent an email asking how I can help their students. I was very happy to see those emails to start with. So thanks for sending them, first of all. And also, um, yeah. So for the topic that we have in hand today, I want to actually go back to 2010 and then share a particular experience that I had. And then eventually I thought I'll come to the topic. So way back in 2010, we were working on a project. So this project, it was very interesting. So the application we were working on, there were, like, a lot of teams were involved. Sorry, there was a lot of teams involved. And then every team were all globally split and things like that. So our project, the aim of the project was to collate information from all these projects. And then we had also built a small portal where all these things information can be categorized, classified, and then eventually store it. So that was the project, right? So we were a team of about 5 people, all of us between, let's say, 4 to 5 years of experience, nothing more than that. And it was about 3 to 4 weeks of project. And we collected all the information, and then every day at the end of the day we would start dumping that information into the portal. And then eventually almost we were done for about 95% of the application was over. Okay. So then I think I still remember it was a Friday morning. Okay. So this one fine Friday morning, we get an email. Right, the email is standard email, like if you work for a company, or if you have that exposure, you will understand what I'm saying. Even otherwise, I'm going to tell you what this email was all about. Okay, so this email mentioned that this was from the the server management team. So they said that there is a routine server patching or maintenance program that is happening on the weekend, and they gave a list of 40 servers, and in that our database server was also one of those servers. And they said by Monday everything will be up and running, and basic stuff we have taken care of, everything, your data is safe, etc., etc. And if something goes wrong, we can put the data back and things like that. We saw the email, and then we were really I would say just 4 or 5 years experience, and we were really not the ones to care or bother too much about all these things back then. Okay. So we thought like, okay, this is a regular maintenance, so we did whatever we had to do, and then we checked out for Friday. Right. Monday morning comes. And then there was this one very interesting email that was there. Okay. So they said the server, the uplift and everything went well, bar 2 servers. And unfortunately, one of the server was our database server. Okay. So and then we were like, yeah, that's okay. They said the backup and everything is there, and then we don't need to worry. Okay. Then we quickly called up our teams, the database management teams, and we asked them, okay, this server is gone, what is the idea, and then what are we going to get as a backup and things like that. They said, no, it's going to take about a week to get a new server and other things. So, I mean, we thought that was the shocker, but that was not the shocker actually. Okay, we were like, okay, if not this server, we are going to get another server. That's fine. But the shocker was next. Okay, so what our team also mentioned was, they said on this particular server we forgot to take the database backup. Okay. And then we were on a call, and then I looked at all of my team, and we were literally shocked to hear that. Okay, because that's almost 3 weeks of effort that we have put in to stuff or get all the information, save them, classify them, and put it into a particular portal, and then keep things ready. Right, we were almost done for about 90 to 95% of the work. But then what happened, they said that, oh, you know what, there were so many servers, and this particular server we did not take the backup, we forgot. As simple as that. I mean, these things happen when you have 40, 50 servers that you have to maintain every week or things like that. So these things happen. But unfortunately, what ended up happening is we had to repeat all the work all over again, and it was not an easy thing. The project got delayed, the client escalated, and things like that. Right. Bottom line is, I really wished we had infrastructure code back then, right? Where you do something, make it work once, and then eventually you never have to do those manual steps again and again and again. So this is, one of the things that, when I am working currently on infrastructure as code, I feel like we have come a way long in terms of how we deal with infrastructure, how we deal with servers, and things like that. Okay, has anyone had a similar experience? Uh, let's see on the chat. Nobody. Okay, I guess you're all really, I would say, very lucky not to be in such situations. Okay, all right, let's go through the agenda for today. First thing I'm going to talk about is the iron age of IT. And the next thing is, like, what were the problems. I kind of explained one simple problem which happens, with a lot of companies, even today. Unfortunately, even today, all these things happen, right? Whatever we try to take steps, safety measures, to-do list, Excel sheets, tasks, human mistakes cannot be avoided, right? And then we'll talk a bit about ISE, and what are the benefits of ISE. Where does ISE actually fall short a bit? And then we'll look at a few HashiCorp products. We'll look at one particular AWS product called CloudFormation, and then I have a couple of cool demos that I have lined up for you. So I hope you guys will love this topic, and you're going to enjoy learning something out of this. All right, I want to hear from you guys. How many of you actually work on cloud, or know about cloud? When I say cloud, just let's take the top three: AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud platforms. So, waiting for answers. Can you guys hear me? It's been extremely silent. Hello, you guys there? Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, we can hear you, Sandeep.
Thank you so much. I just thought, like, okay, okay. Thank
Uh,
you. I
Faculty,
just did not,
kindly
get
respond when
any
sir is
feedback.
asking something.
That's okay. Thank you, everybody who responded. All right, so uh, let's see. Any of you have? I mean, even if you have not worked, give me a no, because so that I can give you some more information about what I'm talking. Right, that's very important. If you worked on any cloud technologies like AWS or Google Cloud, Azure, give the name of the cloud. Otherwise, you can just say no. It's totally fine. We are all, everybody's learning here. Okay. All right. Thank you, Vani, for responding. Thank you, Lata. Let me see. Waiting for a few more, just to see if there is anybody out there who already knows something. Okay. Thank you, Jay Kumari. You guys have been extremely interactive so far. Okay. That's fine. So I take that, not a lot of you have worked on cloud. So just have to be a little bit careful about some of the technical things that I talk about. So I this was very useful for me. uh, let's see what else do we have in store. Okay, the next question. um, Give me a yes or no, please, for this one as well. Okay, have you set up servers or infrastructure? It could be your project, college lab, or it could be for a specific project. Anything at all. Okay, Shashikala says no. Okay, let's see. Okay, Jayapriya says we are planning, which means this session is going to be extremely useful for you. Okay, Lokambigai. Sorry if I'm spelling your name wrong, but pronouncing your name not correctly. But okay. Sumati says no, no worries, no worries. Which means actually you have a lot to learn from this particular thing that I'm talking about. Okay, I just wanted to hear if there were anybody who had done a bit of server setup or infrastructure setup, helping things in your laboratory, computer science laboratory or whatever. But looks like there is not a lot of people here, which is fine, totally fine. Okay. So there are a few jargons in the industry that we need to understand, especially when we're talking about infrastructure. A lot of people actually focus on software, right? Oh, we need to learn C. Oh no, Java is very good. Oh, C++ is very basic. I hope nobody's teaching COBOL and 8085 these days, but I had to go through. And some of the people who taught me are still here on this call. Probably it was okay back then, but I hope it is not there now. Java and .NET and AI, ML, what else? JavaScript, HTML. So there are a lot of things that colleges focus on when it comes to software, right? But I have not seen at least many things that are done towards infrastructure or the hardware part of it, right? I just want to take a minute and pause here and see in your respective colleges, right? I think this question is applicable to all of you, right? So, in your respective colleges, are there any hardware related courses? Are you teaching any of them? So, give me a yes or no again. I think the last answer I have is from Sumati. So, Vasanta says no. Jayapriya says no. Okay. Lot, Asha. That is very interesting answer. So, you have a lot of, you know, uh, infrastructure related courses. I really appreciate that. That was surprising to hear. Vani Kumari says analog and design. Okay. Cool. Let me see. Anyone else who'd like to add something to this? Okay. So that's fine. I mean, actually, I'm very happy to see that there are some colleges which do focus on infrastructure, hardware, and other things, because just with software, really nothing is going to happen, right? What if your hardware, your infrastructure is not there? I mean, it can be on premises or it can be on the cloud. Doesn't matter where it is, but without the actual hardware, I think there is really no software. So if you want to get better as a technical person all round, right, then just becoming a full stack developer where you can work on front end, back end, and database is not just enough in these times, unfortunately, right? So you need to know how to do a bit of infrastructure as well, and then prepare CI/CD pipelines, put your hands into DevOps, or at least do some ClickOps, and things like that, right? That's very very important these days. Okay, not just the coding part of it, but what else is happening other than that, like operating system, networking, server administration. These things are extremely interesting topics, which I am at least loving these days. I have an opportunity to work on all these things, so I'm really enjoying these things. And I suggest all of you also to take a look at this, and who knows, you may love it even more than the other programming languages. So let's figure out all the these three things, these three jargons that we use a lot when we talk about infrastructure or CI/CD and things like that, right? So deployment, right? Deployment is basically taking the code from one place. That place could be your GitHub, or where you host the code, or it can be your local machine, or it can be a build server, and moving it to environment where your users are using, right? So it can be your develop server, test server, and production servers. Okay. What is provisioning? Anybody knows what is provisioning? Let's see. Correct. Launch of what? Thanks, Manjusha. Launch of what? Provisioning is kind of launching, but launching of what? I'll give you the answer then. That's okay. But very well tried, Manjusha. Thank you. So provisioning is basically, let's say you are running a web application, right? And it needs Java, and then it needs Maven or Gradle, one of these things, to compile the code. And then it's a React. So you may also need Node.js, and then you may also need and you may need an nginx server. So basically before the whole yes, Mr. Manjaya, thank you so much. Minimum configuration requirements, absolutely right. So basically before you can launch the application, you need all these softwares to be installed in the system, correct, to be installed in the server. Only then these softwares will work, otherwise it won't work. It says I don't know what is a Java, or it does not know what is a jar, nothing, right? If you don't install JDK or JRE, it cannot run. You cannot run a Java server application, right, or a Spring Boot API. You cannot do it. So the process of installing these minimum requirements or prerequisite softwares, not your application code, not your application, not the portal that you are developing, but the software needed to run those portals is called provisioning. Okay, that's what resource provisioning. Yes, resource is a very broad term, but provisioning typically refers to the software that you had to install. Okay, orchestration. Anybody knows what is orchestration? Have you been to an orchestra? What happens in an orchestra? Have you seen a very big hall where there are yes, thank you, Jayapriya, music and then sound? Yes, there are many musicians, like typically playing a variety of instruments and planning and coordination. Yes, amazing, good to see from devices. Okay, so there will be one person who will be looking at the musicians, and he will be giving some directions. Yes, that is what we call as orchestration. So basically in terms of infrastructure of as code, orchestration is a process where you manage multiple processes, applications or software, right, or systems from one place. That is what we call as orchestrations. Yes, coordinating and things like that. So I hope all of you understand now what is deployment, what is provisioning, and what is orchestration. Yes, if you are with me so far, give me a yes on the chat. Okay, thank you, Asha. Brilliant, brilliant. Okay, let's go forward. So yes, thank you, Payal and Kavya. Amazing, good to see your responses. Okay, so infrastructure, right? What is your understanding of infrastructure? You can unmute yourself, or you can put it on chat. What do you mean by infrastructure? Appearance, okay, that's an interesting meaning. Let's wait for others. Resources, yes. Memory space, hardware and software required. Amazing answers, thank you everybody who is like putting in. Anybody else? Network connections, yes. Very true, very true, thank you everybody. So all of these things are what we call as infrastructure. Brilliant, right? Different resources, platform, cool, awesome. So whenever I mean a simple, can you give me an example of an infrastructure which is not related to computer science? Let's see. Who can give me that answer? What is infrastructure when we are not talking about computer science? Oh, sorry about that. uh, can others hear me well? Okay, all right, thank you. I think Manjusha, it could be a problem with your connection, but let's see. Can somebody, sure, definitely, can somebody give me an example of what is infrastructure when we are not talking about computer science? We use infrastructure day in and day out, right? But all the answers that I got, okay, road is one, brilliant. Facility, okay, cool. Hello, Rajesh. uh, Thanks for joining in. Road, benches in a classroom is also infrastructure. Brilliant answers. Brilliant answers. Right. Let's stick to road. Right. Building. Yes. Building or a flat. All these things are infrastructure. Correct. So thank you. Office Environment Board. Yes. All these things are what we call as infrastructure. So whenever you deal with an infrastructure, right, there is always about multiple phases, right? So let's take road for example. When you take road as an example, initially let's say there is no road, right? So you have to create the road. Okay, so there is a point A, there is a point B, and let's say there is like probably nothing, maybe there is a river going in. You have to build a bridge, right? So that is what we call as the initial setup. Correct, so you don't have anything right now. Today there is nothing, right? So you have to do that initial setup, and then only something is already there, right? That the infrastructure is ready to use. Okay, so that's what we call as the initial setup. And then you do the provisioning. For example, if it is a bridge that you're going across two rivers, probably you may have to give some center line where people should not go to the other lane. And then you may also have to make sure it is safe by putting additional stuff closer to the edges, so that people don't fall over from the the bridge that has been built and things like that. Correct, that's mostly once the setup is done, you do additional provisioning. Let's say after a year, can you forget about it? No, you need to maintain it, you need to manage it, right? Probably somebody did not drive well, and there was one of the blocks is broken. So you have to manage it, maintain it, and bring in a new block and add it there, right? Maybe the asphalt, or these days whatever white topping they call it, that is going away, right? You have to maintain it. So any infrastructure you take, whether it is let me go through some of these interesting answers here. Whether it is a road, or whether it is facility, it can be your college, whether it is a bench in the classroom, whether it's an entire office environment, or it is simply a whiteboard, right? There is always a phase. They go through phases, right? There is an initial phase where you make this, you do it for the first time, and then you provision it with additional things, so that it works well. And then you manage it, you maintain it, and things like that. And then eventually, whenever it is not needed, you say, okay, this is enough, and then that part is called destroy. That is also coming under management or maintenance, but that also happens, right? So eventually, let's say your building is old, or not building, but let's say the board, right? The whiteboard is a good example. You've written so much on top of that, nothing is like it's gone, so it's time to replace it, right? So you just destroy it and bring in a new one, right? These are the four phases which are also there when we talk about hardware, or infrastructure for computer science, right? Whether it is on premises, meaning like you have a server room where you have physical servers, you need to manage them. First time you have to bring it up, set it up, add the software. Anybody who has done system admin or any of these things, they will know what I'm talking about, right? And then you need to manage it, maintain it. Okay, there is a new version, you need to upgrade, things like that, right? So these are the four phases of managing infrastructure. Okay. I want to ask a quick question. Any of you here who manage software on your systems? Like, let's say you have a lab facility, you are in charge of taking care of software installation and other things. Okay. Jaypriya says no. That's fine. Lab admin will do it. Okay. We should have got the lab admin also here. He would have loved this session for sure. Okay. So Asha says she's doing it. Okay. That's really nice. I'm getting very interesting answers from Asha. Cool. So they will actually know the pain of managing software, because it is definitely not easy when you try to install in one system versus another system, because there are two different systems. There is a possibility that it may not work on the other system, so not a easy thing. So please give your lab admins a little bit more time, and do not rush them saying that, hey, why this is not over. Definitely not easy, trust me. Okay. So let's go back to the okay, I want to stop here for a second and see if there are any questions. Any questions so far? Or do you want me to repeat anything that I have told so far? All right. I think, okay. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Asha. So let's go on then, right? So now let's look at, the iron age of IT, right? Why do we call it as iron age of IT? Because, we used to deal with, the actual physical servers, probably whatever you see in the lab. Uh, that's how applications used to run. So that's what we call as the iron age of IT, because everything was physical, right? So how would actual, let's say if you go to a company, or if you go to a software institute or things like that, then what would they typically do before they can actually deploy the application and make it useful for their users, right? So the first thing is they have to buy the server, right? um, to buy the server, it's a huge thing because you need a lot of money. The upfront cost is a lot, because the hardware is expensive, budget problems, so many factors like financial. um, let's keep it only with financial, right? Let's say you place the order, okay? Now you have to wait for weeks for them to arrive, because nobody has it ready for the next day, at least previously. Right now it has become a bit better, but still, especially last 2 years with COVID and the lockdowns, the cost of infrastructure has actually gone up. And then it was not easy to get a new laptop back then. I mean, if any of you tried to purchase a laptop or any hardware for that matter during the first wave of COVID, you will know what I'm telling. Okay. So once you place the order, you actually pray to God saying that, okay, let it arrive without any damage and things like that. Let's say it came, then your lab admin, or whoever is the admin who is taking care of the infrastructure, they will come in. They will physically place the system somewhere, put it into the electrical socket, connect it, install the operating system. It can be Windows, or one Linux or Mac or whatever. And then on top of that, install all the different softwares and tools that you need to have. Set up a network, create a network, create routing, create a firewall, open the ports so that people can access the server. Sometimes it is read only access, some people need write access, things like that, right? Then install the database, migrate the data. There may be certain scripts that you have to run, and then access. I mean, there's so many things actually, so many things go on. And most of them is just for one server, right? All of these things, whatever I called it out here, sorry, that is to bring a server, one server up and running, right? Almost a lot of things are needed for each server here. Okay. So what if there were many servers? Okay. So typically, if you take a small application which is in production, and then serious application but very small, there will be at least one develop server. This is beyond development team and other things I'm talking about, right? There will be one develop server, there will be one test server, and there will be at least one production server. Usually there are more than one. Let's keep it too minimal, right? So totally 4 servers are involved, and this I'm not considering people who develop the application, right? This is only for deployment and testing and production. So these three regions. So already there are 4 servers. So how much time will it take, right, to do all these things on each and every server? Takes a lot of time. Okay. And I'm just saying only 4 servers. And I have worked with applications myself where there were 90 servers just in production. Okay. Only production. There are about 90 servers across the world, split across into multiple regions. And every time we have to deploy code, we had to make sure it goes to all these 90 servers. We could not skip even one server, right? It was a tedious process. And I really, when I look at it now, I really appreciate all those system admins, because back then we never had any of these tools. Everything had to be done manually, which means a lot of problems, right? There is a lot of time that you need to manage. You need a lot of people, a big team, just to manage the infrastructure. And I'm not talking about people who code and test and things like that, right? uh, And then when things are manual, it is bound that there will be mistakes, right? Whatever you do, you make notes, you have an Excel sheet filled with step by steps, whatever precautions you take, there will be one or the other mistake that happens when you have to repeat the same process for, let's say, 40, 50, 60 different servers. You cannot avoid it. It's just human nature. Nobody can say I will configure 60 servers every time without making an error. I have not seen anybody like that, right? And if one mistake happens, identifying that mistake, reverting that mistake, redoing or reapplying whatever is the correct process, all of these things take time. And what if there is one key person in your team who knows everything and he's on a 3 week holiday, right? If you are in the team, I don't know if any of you have been in that situation. Probably you can relate when, I don't know whether this happens, but the primary lecturer or the professor is not there and you have to take a proxy class, right? It's not easy unless you're already very well versed with that particular subject, right? What if that person leaves the company itself, right? It's a huge problem, and you cannot avoid it, right? You need to plan for all these things. So that's why you have backups, resources and documentation. Whatever you do, when things are manual, there is really nothing you can do about it, right? What does this leave, right? It internally, there is a lot of cost involved for a lot of people, correct? So for the company, there is a lot of cost involved. For the users, there is a, of course, if the company is having to invest more, that eventually will reflect on the product that you're eventually using, right? So they will in turn put the cost on the consumers head. So things like that, right? So there's a lot of cost involved as well when we do the manual approach. Okay. uh, I want to pause here for a second and see, uh, have you ever heard, right? Server is down. Any of you have heard it anywhere? It could be anywhere, right? Heard of server is down? Okay, so Deepa says yes, Vani says yes, Payal says yes, Rajesh says yes. Okay. Um, okay. Where have you heard this? I think this is where it gets interesting. Let's see. I'm looking at a lot of variety of answers. Where have you heard that server is down? Bank. Awesome. Everybody's saying bank. Okay. Any other place? Twitter server is down thanks to Elon Musk. Okay. Uh, I know. VTU website. Okay. When the results are out. Okay. Okay. Cool. Railways. IRCTC. Okay. Cool. Gmail server. That's interesting. I've never seen Gmail server going down. At least in the maybe like once or here and okay. Cool, cool, cool. So you have all gone through the pain of seeing this server is down thing, correct? How does it feel? How does it feel when somebody says server is down? Frustrating. Yes. True. True. That is true. Is there anybody who is happy when they say server is down? Okay. Deepa says no. Okay. So when I was a student, when I was a student, and we, let's say we had a lab session, employees, exactly. I was like probably coming there. Okay. When I was a student, and let's say there was some issue with the lab, and people would say, okay, there is no lab today because server is down. I as a student would have been extremely happy. I know my lecturers are here, but still, there is no, there is really nothing to hide there, right? We would be very happy and say, okay, now we can get to do something different, right? So yes, there are people who who become happy. For example, I think Manjusha said that bank employees, when server is down, they may have a little bit of break. I think, trust me, they're working extremely hard. So they they do deserve that break. And Dr. Naveen, hello sir, how are you? Good to see you here. So Dr. Naveen says sometimes competitor. Yes, very true, very true. So we are losing the business there, isn't it? So when a server is down, a lot of people are not happy, including the end user, including the team who is running the show. It can be the technical team or the testing team or the infrastructure team. It could be the business owners. Nobody is happy. Nobody wants to hear server is down. But unfortunately, due to legacy reasons, due to people not using technology, for many reasons again, right? We still do hear this, server is down. Okay, and ISE is one step closer to achieving that. You may never have to hear that server is down, but it's not like a silver bullet where you won't get server is down issue. You will still get, but the chances become extremely smaller and smaller and smaller because of few reasons that we are going to take a look now. Okay, so quick time check, we are about 45 minutes over. Okay. um all right, cool. Thanks for putting up those chat. It was really nice to see different stuff over there. So maintenance, right? Once you get the hardware and then started, it is not enough. You have to maintain it. You have to run operating system patches. Like if you're using Windows, every day there is a new patch or some vulnerability fix, whatever, right? Software updates. Let's say you're using Java 11 and then there is already Java, sorry, 17 or something now. I don't know. I'm really not up to date with that, but I think 17 is what is the latest now. If you know it better, please put it on chat. Angular, I think something like 15 or 18 is what Bharat mentioned yesterday. So they're also releasing versions. Node is also they keep adding software updates. They keep improving the software and things like that, right? So eventually all these things also need to be managed, correct? So this is what we call as maintenance of the infrastructure, right? We need to take backups, right? I told you about the incident. Had my DBA or the database administrator taken that particular backup, did not forget that step, we could have been, a lot of things could have been, could have gone well. But unfortunately, as I said, some of these things we cannot avoid. After that, we thought like, that we should plan it better, right, from our end. I mean, we were still, pretty, not that experienced, and then we had not burnt our fingers back then. That was the incident. Recovery, right? Once your server is down, how do you manage to recover it back? That's a huge challenge, not easy, and a lot more things, right? So these are what comes under maintenance. What I'm talking about is all smaller problems. Trust me, okay? They're much larger, much bigger problems, okay? Can you think about any other problem that can come when we deal with infrastructure? Can any of you think about it? We spoke about these things, correct? All of them. What else could happen? What other problems can come when we deal with infrastructure in a manual way? Quickly, there are a lot of cool things I want to show you guys. Data backup problems. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Rajesh. Anything else that you guys can think of? Okay, that's fine. I'm going to probably do that. Okay. These are some bigger ones. On demand scaling. Okay. So, January 26th, Republic Day for India. And then all of these e-commerce giants like Amazon, Flipkart, I don't know what else are there, but a lot of these things, right? So they give you offers, correct? Because they know that a lot of people are going to shop on certain time. For example, another good example could be Deepavali, right? Or for North Indians it's called Diwali. So a lot of shopping happens during this time, correct? How will a e-commerce, right, application be ready for that, correct? So they cannot say server is down at that point, correct? Who will be the biggest loser? The customers, of course the customer will go to another site and still go ahead and buy it, but the business owners are going to be in a huge loss, right? So on demand scaling, that does not mean that you need to bring the hardware and everything 3 months before and keep it ready. No, that's not what we want to do these days, because after Diwali is over, or after Deepavali is over, or let's say after the January 26th is over, right, the Republic sale is over, then we don't need that hardware, correct? What do you do with that? Because then your load and traffic and your purchases become normal, day to day stuff, nothing fancy, no hikes, right? So you don't need those hardware anymore. For these reasons, this is what we call as on demand scaling. When there are more requests coming in, it could be any day, right? Let's say iPhone is launching, people will buy, right? Or let's say there is a new Samsung Galaxy is being launched, people are going to buy. So those are spikes that you have to account for, and then make sure your customer is shopping in your website, and definitely not easy, right? So these are larger problems, right? Cost effective infrastructure, similar to what I just mentioned. You cannot keep something for 3 months just to use for one day, right? No point in keeping, you cannot say, or you cannot justify that cost at all. Advanced security, data compliance, or there is a new rule from India which says, okay, whoever Indian customers, you cannot leave, that data should be kept within India. All of a sudden, every MNC who is running applications across the world, they need to make sure all their Indian customers information is in within Indian servers only, right? So these things are much larger problems. Whatever we saw here, they are somehow manageable, right? You just throw in more users, make sure your checks are there, add more quality check, all these things are possible. Though you will not be able to make it 100%, but still you will get better and better. But these challenges are not that easy to handle manually, and this is where, my friends, we get into the concept of infrastructure as code, right? So ISC was born to solve all, not all of them, but at least a majority of these problems, okay? So we move away from the concept called ClickOps, where you provision infrastructure. It could be cloud or on premises, it could be anything, doesn't matter. But ClickOps is basically like, you go and then go to some AWS infrastructure and click on EC2, click on security group and things like that, where you deploy infrastructure manually, right? That is what we call as ClickOps. Okay. uh, with this IAC, what we do is we write code for infrastructure. That's the beauty of it, right? So whatever infrastructure you want, we code it, right? And then that's how the code will run. There are multiple excuse me, the multiple tools which are going to execute this code and eventually give you the I would say eventually give you the infrastructure or the hardware, and the resources, provisioning, software, application code, everything end to end. Okay, I'm going to pause here for a second and see if there are any questions for me. I'm looking forward for questions. So if you have a question, shoot it. Otherwise, say no so that we can continue. Okay, Deepa says no. Sumati says no. You can call me Sandeep. It's totally fine. I will wait for a few more responses. There are about 53 people. Let's see. Okay. I will do that, Rajesh. I'm going to talk about DevOps a bit at the end, though I'm not prepared. I mean, as in terms of slides, but definitely I can speak about it. Won't be a problem. Okay. Thank you, Pooja. Logambi, guys. So sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but thank you so much for bringing in those responses. Okay. Let's talk about ISC. Let me just gather my thoughts. Okay. All right, cool. So, IAC, right? Infrastructure as code. So this is a concept, right? It's not a programming language or anything. It's just like a concept. Like for example, oops, right? It's a concept. You can achieve it in many ways, and then many programming languages have implemented in their own ways, their own I would say meanings and definitions to that. But this is one of the fundamental shifts of how we are procuring infrastructure, how we are provisioning infrastructure, how we are managing our applications, how we are managing our infrastructure. All of these things, this is a fundamental shift to what we have been doing back then versus what we can do now. And I'm going to show you very shortly like how easy it is to do all these things. Okay. So it's basically used to provision and maintain infrastructure. I mean, we've been talking about this relatively new concept. It was started like probably a decade before, which is like not new in terms of the software world, but still it is new because the adoption in software world is like pretty slow because of so many reasons. I can talk about it probably for a couple of hours, but let's not go there. So let's try to understand what IAC is going to do, or infrastructure. What does it do, right? So infrastructure here means resources, right? When I say resources, it could be hardware, it could be software, all of those things created as created, provisioned, configured, managed, maintained, whatever you want to call it, through code, right? Which is well defined, well written, reviewed by somebody, approved by somebody, version controlled, and things like that. Okay, so these are the benefits that or this is basically what IAC does, right? It gives you infrastructure which can be created. If it is not already there, it can be provisioned. You can install all the software whatever you want in one go. You can manage it, maintain it, also destroy it. If you don't want the server, yeah, I don't want it, just destroy the server, right? There is no hammer or anything involved, but everything is through code. Okay. So this takes care of three things again: provisioning, configuring, provisioning, and deploying code. I think we have been looking at this for a while now, so I'm just going to go forward. What are the benefits of code? I want to understand from all of you. There are about 51 participants right now, and I'm sure all of you code, teach code, and things like that, right? Let me hear from you guys now. Okay, what are the benefits of code? Why should we code? Reusability. Thank you, Manjusha. Amazing. Whoever goes first, I think they will have more answers. Automation to give a solution. Very nice, Sumati. Thank you. Others, come on. Do you want me to pick names? Uh, Viru says to learn syntax. Vani, Sunil, Smita, Sneha. Who else is there? Nagaveni, Kavya, Pooja, Naveen. I'd like to see some answers, guys. Come on. To make the machine work. That's my favorite answer. Yes. Absolutely right, Pooja. Thank you. What else? What else? Reusability, automation, let the machine work. Let's grab a coffee while it is working. Absolutely right. Love that answer. To give solution, to solve problems, develop applications. Yes. But what are the benefits of code to make the computer work? Yes, Kranti Kumar. Thank you. What are the benefits to reduce manual work? Absolutely right. Let me see. Accuracy. Amazing answer. Thank you, Rajesh. Right. I mean, when you do things manually, it's just not possible to make it accurate, right? It always varies at least by an inch or whatever. But when we do it through code, it is always we expect it all to always work as long as the logic is correctly done. Okay, I think that's all amazing answers. I'm still getting answers. So or teach computer to bring out something. Yeah, you can train your computer to do something out of the ordinary. So thank you for sharing those answers. Efficiently working. Thank you, Wani. Amazing. So these are some of the, I think, if you just narrow down whatever you have said, right, it just becomes something like this, correct? One is you write the code once, we can use it many times, right? We all teach functions, to our students, right? You write a function once. We saw about React yesterday, right? So you created a welcome component. It was a function, and whatever you pass, it just works, right? It doesn't break as long as somebody else comes in and messes up the logic, or whatever, right? It just works. That's it. That is what machines are for. Review, right? When somebody wrote a code, a senior or a teacher or a professor can actually take a look at that code and actually correct it, right? Or if something is wrong, they can help it, or if there is a better way to implement it, that's possible, right? That's what we call as code reviews, or pull request reviews, or PRs, and things like that, right? This is possible the moment you have a code. But if somebody is doing it manually, it's just not possible unless you are physically there with them, just behind them and seeing what they are doing. Even if you're there, probably you're going to miss, like you get a call in between, and then this person does 3 4 steps, you've lost track. Quality control, right? The moment you write a code, there is somebody waiting for it to test, and then they say yes, it is working properly. If everything is good, if you're not so lucky, they're going to raise an issue. You have to try, fix that bug, and things like that. That's quality control, right? Consistency, this is what my friend Rajesh mentioned. Accuracy, consistency, yes, you make it work once, you're done, right? Self documentation, you don't need anybody to tell you, how a function works, as long as you know the syntax, you know the programming language, you understand what is written by any person, right? You don't need any documentation, any steps, nothing. As long as you have the code, uh, eh, you should be able to figure out what is going on. Plus, I think who is that? I guess Manjusha, right? Manjusha mentioned that if there is code, we can automate it. Yes, beautiful answer, right? It saves a lot of time, lot of effort, and also I think it was Dr. Pooja who mentioned that let's make the machines work, isn't it? That's why they are there. So it saves a lot of time for us, isn't it? So these are some of the benefits of code, that we can get. It can be any code, right? But specifically, we are mostly used to looking at software code, not a lot of infrastructure as code. But the moment it is code, we get all these benefits, even for infrastructure. Now that's the beauty of it. Okay, it's so beautiful, right? I'm going to show you a few demos, and then you will understand what I'm saying eventually. Automation, right? This was one of the things that some of you have called out here, right? If something can be coded, sorry, if something can be coded, it will eventually be automated. It can be automated. I'm not saying it has to be, but it is very easily. It's possible to automate. There are so many ways you can automate. Any of you have done automation? Any of you have done automation? It could be anything. You need not do like high level automation. It could be anything. Any of you done automation? Okay, Rajesh has done. Okay, I'll wait for others to pitch in. You can say yes or no. That's totally fine. Okay, Kranti has done it. Amazing. Anybody else? Automation? All right. That's another interesting thing if you want to, take a look at it. I mean, this is something that always excites me when we look at technology as a whole, right? Not just infrastructure, not just JavaScript or React or Angular, or not just web mining. I could not join. I hope you all had a good time with the session there. Or it could, like, the whole technology as a space, right? It's amazing. And then that there's so much to learn, so much to explore. It's just a never ending journey. And the fun of it is beautiful. I think if you ask Rajesh and Kranti, I think they've done a lot of they would have, I would say, they would have reaped those results just by doing a bit of automation. It saves a lot of time, right? So please, maybe if there is another FDP and I'm invited, probably I should talk about automation. It's a brilliant thing to do. Not that I have already worked on it, but I'm very happy to learn it. I can do a bit of automation, but not through automation. But it's a very interesting thing. If you get an opportunity, please just grab it with both the hands. Or even for learning purposes, go to Google, YouTube, whatever works for you, and then figure it out. So IAC, let's go back to IAC after all these things, right? So there are many tools involved. This is one of the, let's say, not so good parts about IAC. There is not just one tool which can do everything. When we look at DevOps as a whole, or even if we take just infrastructure as code, we need a lot of tools, right? We need a lot of tools. we need multiple tools, and I'm going to talk about it very soon. Okay. Quick time check, we have about 55 minutes more. Okay, that should be good. Some of them are cloud dependent. Okay, I'm going to talk you through, like, what does it mean when we say cloud dependent tools and cloud agnostic tools, or the hybrid tools, what we call it. And as I said, one tool is not enough. This is one of the reasons why the adoption for IAC is slow. You don't get people who knows all these tools, right? It's very difficult to find it in the industry. There are people, but slowly, we're catching up there. So you don't get it. You may get a lot of people who work on Java. You may get a lot of people who can work on React or Angular or JavaScript or things like that. But the people who work on infrastructure as code is still, like, very less. So if that is something that kind of sparks something in your mind for whatever reason, you should explore this topic. So extremely sorry. uh, let's look at some of the tools. So it all started, like, sometime back in 2010, I guess. So we had something called Puppet back then. It's not in this list right now, but those guys, the company Puppet, were the people who bought in this concept as such, right? Infrastructure as code. But some of the major tools is what I've mentioned here. AWS Cloud Formation. I'm going to show you a demo of this right after this. Just using this tool, I will show you how easy it is to spin a blog. You don't need to do anything. Okay. And if you have an AWS, how many of you have an AWS account? Put a yes or no on the chat. Okay, Rajesh has an AWS account. Pal does not have. Deepa does not have. Who else? Anybody else who has? Okay, Manjusha does not have. Uh, if you have, you can actually do what I'm doing right now along with me, and then we can actually do infrastructure as code, together. So Rajesh, if you want to just quickly log into your AWS console, do it. Okay, cool. So then came Ansible. One more question. Anybody used any of these tools? Ansible, Azure Resource Manager, Terraform, code deployment, cloud deployment manager. Pulumi is something pretty new. AWS Copilot is something new. Serverless frameworks are new. Anyone? These are all, these are all things that eventually comprises, IAC tools. Okay, so no worries if you have not done. So as I said, we cannot just use one. We need to use multiple. I'm going to show you a few things. Uh, but yeah, let's take a look at cloud formation, right? So this is vendor or cloud specific, right? This tool, if you learn cloud formation, it's pretty easy. If you learn this, you will be able to provision AWS infrastructure. Okay, only AWS. You cannot use this with Azure or Google Cloud Platform or any other cloud platforms. Okay, it just works with AWS. It uses managed. It is usually managed with a template file, which is either a YAML file based or a JSON, based template. I'm going to show you what this means, and this is how it works. All of you able to see this image properly, or do you want me to zoom in a bit more? Is this good enough? Okay, thank you, Jaypriya. So, what we typically do is we create a template. We can create it from scratch. They've given a beautiful designer. We can use the designer, or we can use an existing template. One of those three options, and then we save the template, which goes and sits into an S3 bucket. If you are aware of AWS, you will understand what is an S3 bucket. It's one of those core, building blocks of AWS. And then using the template that you have stored, cloud formation will prepare the infrastructure for you, and everything is through automation. You don't need to do anything beyond just setting up the template and giving it some basic information. Okay. uh, let's do a demo now. Okay, I'm going to show you how this whole cloud formation tool is going to work. Okay. And then we are going to spin probably a lamp server, or probably a blog, just like in the next 2 to 5 minutes or whatever, and then eventually understand how easy it is when we work with infrastructure as code, versus if you had to create the same thing using clickops or manually in a server. Like it takes a lot of time. Okay, so this is AWS for people who have not seen this. So this is this is what we call as console, where you get to access a lot of there are over 200 to 250 different AWS services. Cloud Formation is one of those services. Okay, so I'm going to Cloud Formation. Okay, right. So, I mean, it just gives you some more information here, and then you're all able to follow, right? You can see my screen, correct, where I'm sharing AWS Cloud Formation. Can one of you please confirm? I don't want to get into the demo where you're not able to see anything. Okay, thank you, Manjusha. All right, cool. So to start with, we are going to create a stack. Okay, a stack is basically one part of the infrastructure. It could be the whole infrastructure, or it could be just the part, right? Stack, and then you have a set of stacks and things like that. Okay, so as I said, these are the three options which you can see here. Is the font okay? Do you want me to zoom in? Is this visible? Okay, I'm going to zoom in. Thank you for that. Good. Now, all right, you're welcome. So let's say you already have a template. It can be from your previous project, or it can be somebody who gave you whatever, right? You can use this option saying that the template is already ready, or you can use a sample template which AWS or somebody else could have created here, or you can create something new from a designer. Okay, I'm going to show you what is a designer at the very end of this session. Okay, for now let's use a template. A template is basically something that is already given for you. So let's see what are the things that are available just as templates. We don't need to do anything. Okay, lamp stack. Anybody who knows what is a lamp stack here? Anybody? Lamp stack. We know mean stack. We know MERN stack. Correct? Lamp. Okay, nice. Good to see that. Okay. Yes, absolutely right. Thanks, Rajesh and Manjusha. So that is something that we can create very easily, just with a few clicks. I'm going to show you, or we can create a Ruby on Rails stack, or we can create a WordPress blog. Let's do a WordPress blog for now. Okay. So I have selected that template. Okay, and I'm going to click next. It will ask me for some details. I'm just going to enter my WordPress blog. You can give it any name, right? Or Sandeep Gokhale's blog, something. It doesn't matter. Because you need a MySQL server database. It is asking what should be the default name of the database where all this information will go, and said we can leave it as it is. I'm going to enter a password. Okay, I'm going to give a root password, right? And I'm going to give a database user who can actually log in. Okay, so this is done. And then I'm going to select an instance type. Okay, so an instance type is basically an actual server, a CPU, but on the cloud. I don't have this right now. I don't have any infrastructure at all. Now, this is the beauty of cloud. Okay, so I'm selecting T2 small. That is the bare minimum thing that they give. I think there is something called T2 micro and other things, but um, just use T2 small, whatever is the bare minimal thing. I need to use an SSH key so that I can access it. So I've selected that. And then SSH location, I can restrict that only I can log into that server. Currently, it is available for anybody in the world, right? Across the globe, anybody can log into this server. That's basically, don't do this in your production, or this is just for a demo. We usually do not give the like this. We restrict it for a specific IP address. Usually, the person who is managing it, an admin or somebody, their IP address will go here. Okay. So next, and then and then it says you can add a new tag. There are few other permissions, stack policies, notifications. How do you want to do rollback configuration? We're going to just keep it as it is, and we're going to do next. And then it says, okay, this is what we are going to do. This is very important here. You will be billed, right? When you create an AWS account, you have to give your credit card, and then if you do not turn off, or if you do not destroy these resources, of course, AWS does not know whether you're doing a demo or you're actually using it for uh, an actual reason. They just bill you, right? So be very careful with this one. uh, do not get into a problem where your AWS bill is huge because you forgot to turn off a resource. So this happens, so you have to be mindful about it, especially when you're working with cloud. Okay, so I'm going to leave all these things there, and I will scroll down all the way and click on submit. So now you can see that my infrastructure is being provisioned. Okay, so as we speak, I need to reduce this a bit so that you can see some more stuff here. See, can you see that it is creating a security group? It is creating something else, and if I refresh it, it is creating more. It created 3 security groups for me. I did not write any code. It created 2 web servers for me, and things like that. So now the code, whatever we wrote, if we go to template, it can actually see what was the code that was written for these things to happen. So this is what the code is. You don't need to write a lot of that. This is just too many things here. But similar to this is what we are going to write. Okay, and then also they have given a very nice designer, which is basically when I click on designer, uh, it actually shows me like a UI where I can configure resources. If I'm not very good at coding, I can use this as well. I'm going to show you. It is a little hidden usually. Okay, where is? Yeah, it is here. Okay, I'm going to zoom it a bit. Can you all see? So this is a designer. This is what we call as a designer. Okay, so you can create any of these resources, just drag and drop. It is going to create the code for you, and then link it, and give those properties and everything, and your infrastructure is ready. This is what we call as click ops. Not very much encouraged if it is a larger project or something, but if you want to just try around, this option is there. Okay, so any of you able to identify some resources here? If you have worked with Amazon or AWS services, you should be able to see this. CloudFormation is what we are looking at. And then what else do we have? DynamoDB is the database. We are going to talk about that in a minute. Um, what else is there? Right, EC2, IAM. These are all different services that your AWS actually provides you. Okay, so let me just go back without doing any changes to this. I'm going to close it. Okay, yes, I don't want to change anything. Now let's see if our infrastructure is already set up. Okay, so yes, it says creation is complete. Okay, I'm going to get inside this. I go to output, and I'm going to load this URL. Okay, so it gives me a WordPress server. I did not do anything at all, as you have been seeing. I will say Sandeep Gokhale's blog. That's my site title. I will give a username, uh, and then I'm going to copy this password here, and I will say gokhaleofficial@gmail.com. I'm just going to give my ID. I just want to make sure I copy this into some notepad. Just bear with me. Okay, that is done. I don't want anybody to know about my blog, and I will say install WordPress. Okay, so now our WordPress server is ready. Okay, I'm going to click on login. It will ask me for my username or email ID. It will ask me for the password, login, and then it takes us directly to the WordPress server. Anybody here has worked on WordPress servers? Anybody here? Please give me a yes or no. Okay, Vani says she has worked on a bed. Rajesh says no. What about others? Anybody worked on WordPress servers? Sorry if the font is very tiny here, but I'm going to try to increase it so that you get to see it better. Okay, so I'll go to post. Okay, and I select all posts, and there is a hello world already given. If I right click new window, so this is my blog which is ready. It says hello world, welcome to WordPress, Sandeep Gokhale's blog, sample page. All of these things are already given to me. I can even say test comment, and then when I say post comment, I think this will come up beautifully well. Let's see. uh, I don't know. Yeah, oh yeah, it's here. See, test comment by me on this particular day. If I go here and I try to do an edit on this on the blog, okay, uh, I'm gonna close this. Welcome to IAC is awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna put this here. I will click on update. So now I've just added some more content to my blog. Oh, I made a typo. Sorry about that. And if I go and did it save? Yeah, post updated. If I go and refresh here, I think we should be able to see IAC is awesome with the spelling mistake. Beautiful, isn't it? How many of you loved it? We didn't do anything but just using infrastructure as code which somebody had set up. I have a WordPress blog up and running which I can actually use. How many of you think this is cool? Okay, Manjusa says like yes, this is cool. Okay, Kranti says yes. Okay, Shashikala says yes. What about others? Do you think this is like interesting, or you feel like okay, now I can do something with this, isn't it? Like you already have a blog now without doing anything, correct? So this is, my friends, the power of infrastructure as code. Try doing this manually. Set up EC2, set up something like a security group manually. You will understand what I'm saying. Or go and ask your admins who manage your cloud platforms. They will tell you, now this is definitely not something that we can do like in minutes. Okay, they will ask you like give me a day or two, but now just within a matter of 5 minutes we were able to deploy an entire WordPress blog which is active. You can give it to anybody, they can see what you have written. All of these things are possible just in a matter of seconds, because somebody spent some time and wrote that template for us. That's very important. Okay, they've written it once, they tested it once, everything is working. Now everybody across the world can make use of this particular code. Now that is the beauty of infrastructure as code. Okay, so any questions? We have about 30 minutes left, and I have a lot of things to cover. I have a lot of other demos also to do. So any questions? Okay, I don't see any questions. So you guys are able to follow me what I'm saying? At least for that, give me yes or no. Okay, all right, that's good. That's cool. It is not available free of cost, unfortunately, uh, because it is hardware, correct? So that's what I also said at the very beginning, before I started my demo. It is not available for free of cost, but the cost is also not a lot. You just have to figure out, this is what you want. But if it is a blog that you want to write, I know a lot of one of my blog which is hosted on I think some of you may have this link. This is where I write a lot of blogs. So this is a free platform, right? I don't need to do anything, and it also supports custom domain. I can give my own domain. So wherever this blog is hosted, it is free. The platform is called Hashnode. Sure, I can put it here. So it's free. You can use that. Okay. So all right. So I'm going to close all these things. Uh, if there are no questions, I will close this. I'm going to. Oh, thank you so much, Rajesh. Appreciate it. I'm going to delete this. Okay. I'm going to delete this if there are no questions. Once we delete, I mean, this will be gone forever, unless again I run it. So, and then, the more I keep it running, they are going to charge me. So, just for that, I'm going to delete it. Okay, everyone. All right. Thank you. So now we are going to, it says, deleting this stack will delete all the resources that we have created, the post, the database, everything will be gone. And this is what we call as destroying, the resources. Okay. So the moment we do that, and if you go to stack info, not stack info, but you see here, creation complete. Okay. Let me just go to stacks and I get inside this. I should be saying delete in progress. Yeah, you all see this delete in progress. Eventually, whatever resources, 5 or 6 resources, it created 2 servers, 3 security groups, and whatever, all of those things will be destroyed so that they won't bill me also. Okay, so that is how we can create infrastructure as code using cloud formation for AWS only. All right, so let's go back to now. If I refresh this, it won't work because I've deleted, my server and everything. So it just tries to spin around for a while. I don't know if you're able to see that, but then eventually, it says, the server is not found. Okay, so that's cloud formation for all of you. So this is what we do. Okay, as I said, even if you take a very small project, there are multiple servers involved, at least one development server, at least one test server, and at least 2 production servers. And then you create this template once, you make sure it works, and then you deploy it to whatever you want, how many ever servers you want. If you can manage to make the template work for one server, even if you're rolling out 100 servers, everything is going to work because it is code, right? And the beauty of that is you can test that one server, everything you want, and then say, yes, this is my baseline code, everything is working fine, and then do all the remaining 99 servers or something. But if you don't do that, if you do it manually, you may not realize that you missed the step, and you may, worst case scenario, you have
Yes.
to repeat it for.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Hey, it's okay, ma'am.
Sorry about that. So what I was saying was, you may have to repeat that one misstep for all 100 servers. So definitely, not a good place to be, or you should not be the person doing that. It's very difficult. So this is what cloud formation allows us to do. These are some of the benefits. Okay. Definitely, be very careful when you play with cloud. There is a chance that you may miss to forget to remove a resource, and then your credit card bill may come. There are many ways you can stop this. This should not stop you from learning. This is a caveat that everybody says, this is a warning that everybody tells you, but you can actually put budgets, right? You can say, if for whatever reason, right, my AWS bill is going more than 30 rupees in a month, send me an email. Okay, and the AWS will send you an email the moment it crosses 30 rupees per month, which I guess you can afford. You can even make it like 5 rupees per month. Anytime it crosses 5 rupee, 1 rupee, whatever, right, you get an email. So you can set up all those things. What I'm saying is, like, it should not be stopping you from trying out cloud. Okay, you can set up all those things in AWS budgets. I usually set up a $1 budget. Whenever it crosses $1 USD, I want AWS to send me an email, and then I know that it has crossed, and I go and see if there is something that I'm running which I don't want. I'm going to destroy it. Okay. uh, so all those things are already there, and it should not be stopping you from trying cloud. But at the same time, you should be careful. If you don't set up those alerts, if you don't set up those budgets, you may kind of give money where it is not supposed to go. Okay, so we also looked at a demo. All right, cool. Let's look at another tool. Okay, now this is something called Packer. Any of you have heard of Packer? Now this is a separate tool, which is from a company called HashiCorp. Okay, HashiCorp is a new company, probably started in 2014 or something. Beautiful company. They create a lot of of infrastructure as code tools. Everything is open source. Okay, so Packer, they have created Terraform. They have something called Vault. They've so many tools that they have sorry, they have created. They have something called Vagrant. So many tools. For every scenario they have a tool, that you will use eventually, especially when you are working with IAC, infrastructure as code. Now the beauty with this company is you cannot use cloud formation on Amazon, on Azure, or on Google Cloud Platform, or Alibaba Cloud. Like, there are so many providers, cloud providers. But with HashiCorp products, they are a cloud agnostic tool. Can you please give me a second? Extremely sorry. My throat is probably done for today. so, what I was saying was, this HashiCorp, they create tools which are cloud agnostic, meaning you can use it on AWS, you can use it on Google Cloud Platform, you can use it on Azure. Basically, they have something called HCL. We're going to look at it. If you learn that language, you can figure out all these things, and it's a hybrid cloud. So you can create infrastructure on any of these or all of these things. So that's the beauty of learning tools from HashiCorp. So what's Packer, right? To start with, it's an open source tool. It is used to create images. Okay, it is not used to create infrastructure, but it is used to create a copy of your infrastructure. That's what we call as the image. People in the industry typically refer to this as golden image. Okay, which means this is exactly the blueprint of your infrastructure. Okay, so if you are building a house, if you are trying to buy a flat, the first thing you go and approach your contractor or the vendor is, okay, show me the blueprint of the building, show me the blueprint of the whole apartment or a flat, etc. Right? So that is what is Packer. So it just gives you an image using which you can create infrastructure going forward. Okay, so that's the beauty of this. And it is all done using one configuration file, and I'm going to show you that code and everything, and we're going to create a Packer image, and I'm going to show you some demos around this. Okay, so that, I mean, all of you understand what is Packer. It won't give you infrastructure, but it gives you a blueprint of how your infrastructure should look. Whether you want to create one server or 100 servers, this is the blueprint that you can use. Okay, that's what is Packer. Okay, so yes, there are a few advantages. Once you create this golden image, it becomes very easy to deploy new infrastructure. Especially, you can install software, everything that you want, you can configure, you can provide access, everything on the image. And right after that, you can simply roll out your deployment, which will just take this as a base, and then create your infrastructure very quickly. We are going to see that very soon. Multi-cloud portability. Let's say your business all of a sudden said that, yeah, we don't want to use Azure, let's go to AWS, or let's go to Google Cloud, something like that. So you can still continue to use this tool, or you have to have all, you need to support all of them. This tool can still work with it. Great testability. So once you test the image, then you know that, yes, whatever 100 or 10 other servers you're going to use, it is going to be like that. Very stable images again. These are some of the advantages of IOC in general. So the Packer template, actually, I mean, this is how Packer works. So you take a base image. Now this base image can be a Windows 10 server, or a Windows 2016 server, or whatever, right? Or it can be a Mac, an iOS platform server image, or it can be a Linux distribution, Ubuntu, or whatever, right? And then we add some more configuration to it using HCL, or we just update that. So we take a base image. We don't start without a base image, right? That is possible, but typically we don't do that. We start with the base image, and then we apply on our configurations on top of that. That is what we call as provisioning. And then this gives you a new image, which is the base image plus whatever customizations you want. That is what Packer does. It's a very small tool. There are not a lot of things there, so probably can be learned very quickly as well. Okay, so there are three things, right? The build, provision, or Packer, source, and build. So these are the three things that we have. I'm going to give you a small demo of this. We'll also take a look at these three things. Okay, Packer, what is Packer, what is source, and what is the build. Let me share this right now. This is my sample code. Of course, none of this should be used for anything seriously other than a hobby project in which you can quickly destroy and things like that. Okay. So variables and locals, let's not go there. They're just to define configuration and some variables, functions which return a timestamp. Pretty simple things. Nothing to worry too much about it. Hello. Can you guys hear me? Hello. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. All of a sudden, I don't know, it just like the whole window refreshed. I don't know why. Okay, is the font okay? Do you want me to increase the font a bit? Because it becomes important. Okay. Oh god, this is too much. Even I cannot read it. I guess this is okay. Let's go with this, right? If you want me to zoom in, just put in zoom in or something, and I can do that. But this is actually for me, this is already too much zoomed in. uh, so this is the Packer block. We have about 20 minutes, so I'll try to be a little bit faster. We won't go through each and everything here because it's impossible. So this is the Packer block which says my cloud provider that I want to target is Amazon. Okay, so that means AWS. Okay, so if you also want to get this Packer image on Azure, you also have to say Microsoft Azure. That will be your so these two things you can put together one by one. Okay, that's possible. And then this is what I told you about. We are going to take a base image, correct? So we are looking at Ubuntu 20.04. That is the base image that we want. Okay, and the type or the server, that the CPU is going to be a T2 micro. These are different naming conventions that AWS gives you. The AMI name, we are going to call it as test image or something with a local timestamp. I'm going to show you once this runs. Okay, so all this basic configuration, and we are going to refer this server as our Ubuntu server. Okay, so that is our source configuration. The most important part is the build configuration, which contains the provisioners. Okay, so what are provisioners? Provisioners are various ways through which you can install software on this image. Okay, so there is Ansible as a provisioner. You can use shell scripts as provisioners. You can use file as a provisioner, and then you can also run some local code on your machine and not on the cloud as one of the provisioners, and things like that. There are about 8 to 9 different provisioners as of today, as we speak, with respect to Packer. Okay, if you're focusing on let's say Windows as a platform, you will get PowerShell as a platform, or your command prompt as a platform, sorry, as a provisioner. Right, so many such provisioners are there. So you can use whatever you are comfortable with, and then you can write code for that. So basically what happens is, once when I run this, okay, let me start running this. Okay, there are a few commands that we have to run through. Don't worry about command if you don't understand what is all that, but I will just explain as the image is being created. Okay, so I have created some shortcuts because I don't want to type the whole thing. So I will say Packer validate. So Packer, not the right command, PKR validate. So this is a shortcut that I've created, which is going to validate my configuration, and whether it if it finds okay, see, now it says okay, there is no file, you're running in a wrong folder. So I need to get into packer folder and then run this command. So it is going to look for .pkr.hcl or .pkr.hcl JSON files, which is where we write all the code. And then eventually it will validate it. It will look for any issues or any syntax errors and things like that. If there is anything, it is going to, report. Otherwise, it says your configuration is good. Okay, so that's packer validate. And then what I will do is I'm going to do a packer build. Okay, so what this step will do is it will look at my .hcl file or .json file, and it will connect with my AWS server, and it will start provisioning actually the actual image. It is, as we speak, it is creating an image. I'm going to show you where the image will come and everything in a while. Okay, while this is doing its business, it takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Let's look at what is this, what are the different provisioners that we have. So to start with, it picks up the latest Ubuntu image, which is 20.4. That is the version that I want. Okay, that is what it takes as a base, because we don't want to worry about how do you install the operating system and other things, right? That's why we start with an operating system as a base image. And then what it does is it runs all these things once the image is ready, right? uh, any of you understand what these two commands are? Basically, it looks for upgrades, if at all there are any upgrades to be installed. If it is yes, it is going to install those updates automatically. And after all these things are done, it is going to sleep for about 15 seconds. The reason we give this is just to make sure that all the server resources, whatever it is required to do the upgrades, are freed up. Okay, there is nothing that is still pending. So when we hit this sleep 15, everything is up to date and installed and things like that. After that, it picks up the next provisioner if there is one. Okay, now we are telling, okay, I want you to run this shell script, okay, or the bash script, whatever you want to refer to, which is in this path, which is /wins the current folder, and the file name could be anything. I'm calling it as provision softwares. Okay, I'm going to open that file for you. Okay, in this I've written a very small script. There's not a lot here, but you can actually do a lot. You can install Java, you can install Nginx, you can install your SSL certificate, you can install Node.js, you can install MySQL, WordPress, name it, whatever you want. If you have a command, you can put it here, and that will be a part of your golden image. Okay, so here right now, just for the demo purposes, I'm only installing Nginx, which is a web server, right? As we all know. So Nginx will be installed as a part of this provisioner, and then I can also upload a file to my server. Okay, that's the beauty of it. So I have a file called upload.txt, which if I open, there is not a lot. I mean, this can be whatever file that you want to upload to your server. Okay, so this file will be uploaded to the server, and I'm going to show you once the server is configured. And then we are going to run some inline script just to show you that, yeah, it is going to echo this statement. And then there is something called manifest, which tells you the history of everything that is done. And then there is a shell script which I'm running locally, right? So these are the different things that happen. And as you can see, I think our AMI is almost ready, more or less ready. So if I go to AWS, I can actually see these things. If I go to AWS and then navigate to EC2, time check, I have 15 more minutes. I think that should be sufficient for the demo. And if I go to AMI, right? AMI, which is I think Amazon machine images. See, you can quickly see that this particular image is ready now, correct? So this is what we configured using Packer, right? If you look at this, it says test AWS, and that was the name I think I had given in the variable. See, test AWS Linux, right? That's the name I had given. Okay, and then it appends a timestamp because I want to know when I created this, right? It says 2023 January 19th, and then gives some timestamp around it. Okay, this is, I mean, just to give you an example, like, different naming conventions what we use in the industry. You can give any name as long as it is unique, it will be fine. And then it also adds a snapshot. If you go and look at it, you will see one entry as the snapshot. So with this, yeah, this is the actual image that it has created, and this holds nginx and the uploaded text file, everything, right? This is what we call as aws EBS, right? Elastic Block Storage, something like that. Okay, so that is what is the resource that is being created here. See, Amazon EBS, which is Elastic Block Storage. So if I look at the logs, it says, okay, so your golden image is ready. It took about 3 minutes and 51 seconds to create this golden image. Okay. After that, we did all the cleanup and everything, and you're ready to go and use this image within the AP South one, which is the Asia Pacific South one region of AWS. That's the Mumbai images, right? Where was the golden image that we created? AIMs, right? I'm going to kill this the golden image that we have created. So when it loads, you should be able to see the test image that we created. Let's wait for it to come. So you don't have any image. Okay, of course. Yeah, there is that image, right? Now what I'm going to do is I have a file which is a shell script /remove ami.sh. So this will actually go ahead and delete the AMI for me. I don't want to do it manually, so it will destroy that image. So if I check back after a while, see my EC2 instance is now deleted. So if I go to the nginx server and refresh this, it is going to spin for a while and says, okay, this IP address or this server, it is not there anymore. Okay, so same way I'm also going to destroy the security groups, the virtual private cloud that I created. All of those things will be destroyed. It's going to take another few seconds. Meanwhile, if you see here, it says the AMI and the snapshot is removed. So let's check that actually. See now, the server is gone. Nginx is not there anymore, right? If we look at the security groups, now previously there were 4, but now the two that we created to the code, it is deleted, right? That's gone. So the last thing that we have to delete is the S3 bucket. Okay, see it says previously I had created 6, now all of them are destroyed. So now I will go ahead and run the same command to remove my DynamoDB table and also the S3 bucket. Okay, let's switch to S3. This is my S3. If I refresh here, it should be gone in a while. While this is happening, I will also refresh here. This should be gone in a while as well. So let's see what it is doing. Okay, it is taking some time, which is fine. But eventually, see, no tables found. Just now that table was there, but through the code I was able to delete it. Let's check what is the status of the S3 bucket. Gone. No more S3 buckets, which means whatever infrastructure that I had created is also destroyed, which means my AWS bill will not come. Okay, that's important. Okay, so that is what is infrastructure as code. I was over by about 11 minutes. Okay, I hope this was useful. I know it was very quick, but eventually all these things are possible. Okay, my main motto was to talk you through the problems that people face when things are handled manually, and then how easy it becomes when we do everything on code. Okay, at the same time, also to show you how complex the code can be. I did not get a chance to walk through the Terraform code, but it's fine. I think there is only so much we can do in 2 hours. Okay, so two things are pending now. One is, are there any questions for me right now, or is there any feedback that you would like to share right now? I'm very happy to take them. Oh, thank you so much, Rajesh. I appreciate that. Thank you, Nityananda. Nityanandan. Any questions for me? I would love to hear questions from you guys. I know it was like super quick, but still, I just wanted to show you like what are the different cool things that are available when we're not just doing software work, right? Not just C, C++, Java, or even for that matter, React or JavaScript or Angular or whatever it is. Like so many other things are there. And infrastructure, people feel like it is boring. It is actually not so boring. Okay, it's very very amazing. Just that we have to be curious and explore that. So thanks a lot, Deepa, for putting that feedback. But I'm looking for questions. Are there any questions? I mean, some of you may be curious, like, okay, can this be done? Can that be done? Can I do this in my college? Can I do that in my college? Waiting for such questions right now. Don't feel shy. Just put in if you have a question. I know Rajesh asked us, like, walk us through Git. What is DevOps? I'm going to do that. Um, I will be quick, but I'm going to do that definitely. I have not forgotten it, Rajesh. But I want to see if there are any specific questions for ISE. I'll wait for another 10 more seconds. I guess there are no questions for me. All right. So, let me see if there are any slides. Oh, yeah, this one, right? Um, Definitely, if you feel you have more questions later, just feel free to ping me, email me, or you can just shoot an email. I know a couple of colleges have already reached out seeking help for their students. I'll be very happy to help them in whatever way I can, for sure. But I just want to take a minute and then thank all of you to be with me for about 2.5 hours, close to 2.5 hours. Definitely not easy, but I enjoyed a lot. I hope you guys also enjoyed it. So I want to quickly talk through what is DevOps. Probably I will spend a minute or two, not more than that. Okay. It will be very high level, but I'll try to do my best with the time we have. So DevOps as a concept was not there previously. There are two aspects to this. One is so sorry. One is development, and the other one is the operation part of it. So these typically are two teams at the minimum, or in certain companies a lot much larger teams, more than one team together, right? So what does a development team do? Right, they get a challenge, they get a task, they get a story, they get a task, and then they want to complete it. They try to understand the requirement, they try to design a solution around it. They write the code, and then they test the code, and then they do the unit testing and everything, and then they say, yes, my code is ready to be deployed to dev server, right? That is where most of their work is kind of going to end, and then there will be a separate team who will take care of taking this code and then deploying it to, let's say, dev server, and then the testing team will come in, they may test in the dev server, or there may be another server called test server, and the testing team can test in the dev testing server as well. Once all of these things are done, typically there is a process where you have to raise a request so that your code can be taken to the actual production server. So that's a process. And the more complicated your application is, the more users your application has, this process becomes elaborate, elaborate, elaborated. Okay. And the problem is when there is something that is let's say we've written a code, and there was an issue and that was caught late last, right, just before you go to production, the whole process has to repeat again and again, right? So this is what people used to follow until DevOps was there, and then eventually somebody thought through. I forgot the company who came up with this, the concept as such, but people realize that this is not the way to develop software, and they said, developers or development as a team or an activity, and operations should be a continuous process. And there were these terms that were coined, like continuous integration, continuous development, continuous deployment. All these things came into picture. There were a lot of tools that came in, like Jira for story management. There were things like Jenkins, things like GitHub Actions, which is pretty new these days. And then what else? So many other tools: Chef, Ansible, Puppet, Terraform, infrastructure of code as code is all a part of DevOps, right? So the plan was, the moment you write a code, the moment you commit a code, we should be able to integrate that into the actual code base. And then if there are any errors, it should be informed then and there. Or a pipeline or an automation should trigger saying that, okay, you don't have any other code. Automation testing should happen, automation linting, and a few other things that happen the moment you commit a code, right? And then there can be automation tests that can run on your code, and if something is broken, you should come to know the very probably in the next 5 minutes or in the next 10 minutes itself, right? Over an email. There should be nobody to come and tell you that, okay, your code is broken, right? This entire process, until we go to production, is what we call as DevOps, where development and operations is kind of clubbed into one process, one team, using various tools and technologies. This is what we call as DevOps. It's a huge thing. It's not just one tool, it's not just one team, it's not just one process. It's like it's a own thing on itself. So I guess I was able to just put some thoughts in, like, whatever time I had, about 4 to 5 minutes with this, just scratching the surface of DevOps. Okay, I think with that I'm going to conclude my talk. And then thanks everybody for joining. If there are no questions for me, I'll hand it over to Srivatsala and team from DSC. Thank you, everyone. Have a
Yeah,
wonderful day. See you.
thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. In spite of having, cough and health issues, thank you so much. You've enriched our faculties.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It was very good session, Sandeep. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It was nice seeing you all. Anything else, ma'am, or we are good to wrap it up?
Yeah, Vatsala.
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep. Take care of your health.
Sure. Thank you
Take
so
care,
much.
Sandeep.
Thank you.
We're
Thank you.
free now.
Oh, God.
Coughing, you're coughing multiple times. Several times you're coughing.
Yeah, just today is a little bit bad,
Take
but
care. Give rest to your throat now. Don't speak with anybody.
I have a few calls till 8 o'clock, so
Oh,
it's okay. I will manage. Not a problem.
thank you so much, Sandeep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dear faculty, thank you for joining for this session. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, kindly join back with the same link. Thank you all.